I am
Lord.
recording. I
Okay.
have pressed record. Okay, so first things first. Let me share this. New assignment, not really a big assignment. You've got plenty of assignments. Um, but I have pointed you towards the Missing Locksmith ARG, which is this link. Um, which, if I go here, this is the Missing Locksmith. It's an alternate reality game that sees you use real world tools. Do you need anything to play? Just the downloaded files, a web browser, and an email account. It's a zip file with basically pictures of papers to go through. I have created a channel in the Discord called Locksmith ARG. Let me switch over to this class so that you can talk amongst yourselves. And I'm going to work on this weekend too. And I'll be in there saying, "Hey, does anybody know what this is?" Also, she just made this for Easter. Elle Osleywood is her name. Is it Elle Osleywood? Um, so I think if she gets 50 downloads of this all at once, that will pretty much make her day. Because she's just a game developer on the internet. So what do we have? Platforms, everything. It was published 3 days ago. 3 days ago. So let's make her day and play her ARG. And if you like it, then give her some feedback, because this is brand new. I have not played it. It might be terrible. I don't know. So give that a play.
Quick question: where is that on Canvas again?
It's in under assignments.
And it's called?
It is called Solve the Missing Locksmith.
Oh, there we go. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of assignments for this class. That's why it's the putting it online. I made many tiny assignments that are each worth 2 points. So Nick, it's not really. I don't mean to hammer it all at once, but if sometime today you go download it, I'm sure she's got some kind of analytics where they say your thing has been downloaded 5 times, 10 times, whatever, and we hit her with 50 today. She'll be very excited. And honestly, this just came across my Twitter feed as like, hey, I made this for my friends and family for Easter. Usually we do an in-person Easter egg hunt, but we can't this year, so I made this. And it will also be a decent introduction to ARGs if you've never played an ARG before. It's pretty small. It's an Easter egg hunt. It's not exactly gonna gonna take your week, I would think. So I have it due for Tuesday. That's a soft thing. Do it at your leisure. Talk to each other about it. If we get it done, we get it done. If we don't, we don't. The other thing to remind you is that Monday we do not have class. So if you show up and I'm not here, that is intentional. Everything is working as planned. And that does not, but the D&D adventure is still due at midnight, and your portfolio page is still due Tuesday at midnight. I will put up next week's quiz on Monday anyway, so that just to be consistent. So that'll go up even though we don't have class. And Tuesday I'll put up Right Club at the usual time. And I think we have one more Right Club and two more Right Clubs. And let me see. Right Clubs, we have six of each, so we got two more of each because we've done 4. And next week we go deep into ARGs. Also I will be finishing up. Yes, you have to wait till Tuesday to hear a theme song, Nick. Sorry. I honestly don't remember what I sang. What was the other thing? ARGs. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Sunday I will at 3:00 be streaming the rest of the beginner's guide. Hopefully I will not get sick. That's my plan. I'm going to finish it up. I have 2 hours played in it, and I know it's much less than that. So I think I was playing it for about a half hour on Wednesday. So probably another half hour to an hour of play. Because at 2 hours, I was convinced there were secrets in the beginner's guide when I first played it. I was absolutely convinced that if I looked in all the nooks and crannies, I would find secret doors or little Easter eggs or something. And so I spent a lot of time looking, and there is nothing. I found nothing. The internet has not found anything. There aren't even achievements for the beginner's guide. No Steam achievements, which is somewhat disappointing. Although for Dr. Langeskov, hey, good segue, Dean. Dr. Langeskov. Actually, I want to go. Can I go back? Remember how I was talking about how Stanley Parable came out as a mod before Gone Home. There's another one somebody pointed out to me because I was going on a rant, as I do. There's another game called Dear Esther, which you can see here. It's not worth it for me to say go play this because let's see, they don't even have a video. Well, it looks pretty, right? It's a lot of it is another walking simulator. There's no I think there's an HD version of it too. Let's see, do I have it? Dear Esther. Yeah, the Landmark edition. Let's go to the store for this one. Maybe they have. Yeah, I own this too. Oh, here we go. Here. Let's play the preview. It's British. Isn't that pretty? Note the tower in the distance, the radio tower with the blinky red light.
No audio.
No, oh, okay. Sorry. It was just music up until then. Let me stop the share. Share again with computer sound. Share. Thank you. Okay, going back to
Begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
started a genre in a world where nothing is elective. Esther. And again, so the landmark edition is basically upgraded graphics. They upgraded it. It was made in Unreal. So going back to the Stanley versus Gone Home, Dear Esther actually came out somewhere in that same time frame, and it is another walk around. You walk around that island, and talk happens, right? And maybe it's because there's okay. You heard the narration. Any ideas? Something about paper boats, and I don't know. Honestly, I'm just gonna come out and say I hate Dear Esther. I think it is terrible. I think the writing is terrible. I think it's overly pretentious. It is so basically where you're walking in Stanley, and you have delineated paths, right? And um, very, very clear choices: left door, right door, blue door, red door. Dear Esther has parts that are paths, right? Yeah, when you tell everyone that it is the most influential anything, maybe you should. But that it's for critics to say that, and this is a critic saying it. So they can be pretentious. It's when you quote it on your advertising, I guess, but it sells games. So Dear Esther has these paths along this island that definitely have trigger points. And maybe it's because I work in Unreal and I know how sound is triggered in Unreal that it's very clear to me I hit a trigger, and this sound file played, which is some kind of narration. But then you get to areas where it's like the beach, right? And the path opens up, and you can walk down this side of the beach. You can be right by the water, or you can be up near the reeds, or wherever, or in between, right? But see, there are triggers placed around the beach area that if you walk down by the water, you might miss the one that's up by the reeds. And if you walk up by the reeds, you might miss the one that's down by the water. And so once I figured this out, I started, like, if it's a wide area, I'd just serpentine through that wide area to make sure I hit all the triggers, which is not exactly immersive, right? The other thing is they had on those regular paths, they had two kinds of story clips, right? They had voiceover clips, and they had in the thin paths, they had what they considered crucial bits. But then in the wide areas, because they thought, well, not everyone's going to hear all these, they had informative but what they consider not necessary bits, right? And those triggers, there was a bucket full of those voiceover bits. And every time you hit one of those triggers, it would pull a random one out of the bucket and play it. But that meant you might get VO clip 18 before you got VO clip 5, right? So you'd get the story in a weird order, maybe. And did you even need all those things, right? So, so and the other thing is that there are many more voice clips than there are triggers on the entire island. So you can't guarantee you hear everything. You can't guarantee you hear it in order. And you have to play it more than once, and it's still random, so you might never hear some of them, right? So it becomes really kind of hard to piece together the story. And then it's an island, right? So like any player, the first thing I do is I wade into the ocean, right? Because that's what you do. And let me test the limits of the simulation. So, yeah, it doesn't respect the player's time. I agree, Lena. So when you wade into the ocean, I honestly forget if it just rubber bands you back to the beach, or if it fades to black and then you wake up on the beach again. But in any case, you can't just kill yourself in the ocean, right? And there are lots of cliffs around, and just like any player, you try and run off the cliff and see what happens. And there were always invisible walls up in front of all the cliffs, so you can't run off the cliff, right? So the entire island is designed so that you can't kill yourself on it. And notice I pointed out the radio tower with the blinking red light on top. That's where your entire journey across the island takes you to that tower, and you eventually climb the tower. And the story, such as it is, and I don't care, I'm spoiling it. Don't play this game; it's terrible. The story, such as it is, you are guilty of doing bad things in a relationship, and maybe Esther has died. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you the story of Dear Esther because I don't know what it is. And I have played the game, I would say 1.5 times. You climb to the top of that tower and you commit suicide off the tower. You jump off the tower. So the entire game has kept you from committing suicide until you can commit suicide the way they want you to commit suicide. And you don't just like fall and crunch. You turn into like a seagull and fly across the ocean forever, and the credits roll, which is a metaphorical glorification of suicide, which I have big problems with. It basically says, hey, if you end it all, it'll be peaceful and you'll turn into a seagull and you'll fly forever across the ocean. No, you will crunch and die, and people will feel bad. Um, so uh, so I have such problems with Dear Esther, and yet it was lauded as the genre-defining game, while it is arguably 10 times worse than either um, uh, Gone Home or Stanley Parable. Um, Honestly, though, the hilarious thing, I was looking through the patch notes. They had patch notes for when I was playing it. They had a patch, and I looked at earlier patch notes, and it said removed the ability to jump uh, because players were bunny hopping through the entire game. Which just says your players are bored and looking for something to do. So they are bunny hopping around to see what will happen. How high can I jump? Can I get to this other thing? So I thought that was hilarious. So let's go to Dr. Langeskov, the Tiger, and the Terribly Cursed Emerald. Who is Dr. Langeskov? Where is the tiger? And what is the Terribly Cursed Emerald? Anybody? Yes, they are really trying to control the experience, Lena. Feel free to go play it. It's cheap. I can't tell how much it is. Oh, it's $10. No, don't spend $10 on that. Just don't. So the tiger is in a box. We actually hear the tiger. Where's Dr. Langeskov? Where's the emerald? Anybody? The emerald is in the vault. It is a whirlwind heist. It says that. Yeah. Essentially, the game that it's promising, which is some kind of heist game, it does not deliver on. Right. So in this one, we have another meta game where Stanley Parable is a game about games, and a game about choices, and a game about stories. Dr. Langeskov imagines games as a stage play, right? Where the game itself, the intended game, is the stage, right? And we never get to see all the kind of gears and pulleys that make games go unless you're a game developer. But instead of saying, well, this is code and that's a bit of art, and we put them all together and this is how it works, it contrives to say that there's this whole staff of people who make games work in real time while there's a player, and we can only handle one player at a time. And oh, I'm sorry, there's already a player in the game, you can't play. You'll have to wait in the green room until that other player's done. Oh, what a horrible thing! Our staff has gone on strike. right? So you guys are all talking in Discord. Whatever, man. Good. Meet each other. Have fun. So we never get to see the game, and we actually become the staff that makes the game go. And I intentionally was doing everything I could to not do what the narrator told me to do, or what the stage manager told me to do, which there's not quite as much voiceover in this one as there is in Stanley Parable. Stanley Parable, they seem to have thought of so many of the possible things you can do, and even sometimes just sitting there doing nothing, it says, the narrator notices. I really had a good time in the first green room area, when I got up on the tables, and he's like, you've gotten up on the tables. What? Why? Could you get off? Those could break. We need those tables. What are you doing? Oh, thank you. You're off the table. Oh, you're back on the table again. Oh, geez. Good fun. Uh, uh, I got I tried for, let's see. Let's go back to my library. Where is Dr. Langeskov? I got one new achievement. Share. So I have no idea how to get these achievements. This one, messy operation, refuse to clean up after yourself, was for knocking over every single broom in the game. Just starting out, steal your first 5 francs. I picked up every coin I could find and did not get that achievement. I don't know how to do the orange one. And I suppose I should have turned off all the lights in the game, and that would have happened. Don't know. And I don't know what this hidden achievement is. Let's see. Dr. Langeskov Achievements Guide. Okay, what's the last one? 100% achievements. Let's see. Orange Thief. For this, wait. Oh, okay. I'm going to share this. New share. Share. Okay. Now you're where I am. So start it. Steal it from the orangery. I need to get an orange drink from the vending machine. I have to get all these coins, go back to the vending machine, and buy an orange drink. Okay. Well, I thought there would be an orange on one of the trees. I got that one. This is turn off all the lights. You need to turn on the second lamp first and then turn the lamp off again. Otherwise, it doesn't count. I need to collect every coin in the game. I guess I missed some. Okay. And then make little Timmy proud. You need to find every pretzel in the game. I found one pretzel in the entire game. There are apparently a lot of pretzels in the game. Really? That's all the pretzels? I found one pretzel. Look at all these pretzels. And then the last one is you've unlocked every achievement in the game. No, I don't know. Okay. So I'm going to stop that share. Okay. That is a lot of pretzels. Yeah, I thought I'd get something for the sticky notes too. I got nothing. So, okay. This is short. Without doing achievement stuff, I think you can blow through it in maybe 10, 15 minutes, right? You make it as long as you want by annoying the stage manager. And then it ends with your own death, right? You get to play the game. It goes to black and the tiger eats you, as far as I can tell. That's what I heard. So we've got it feels like a trifle, right? There's not as much thought as in Stanley Parable. Once you get the conceit of it, that a game is a stage play, and here I am in the midst of this, and chaos ensues. It feels like a British farce, right? Where everybody's running in and out of doors, and you're trying to move on. Okay, so moving on to the beginner's guide. I hope you've played it. Here we are. Okay, who does Coda exist? No, no. Does Davy Reedon exist? Ooh. Yes. Adam says Davy Reedon does exist. Is the Davy Reedon, he's not the same Davy as the one in the game. Okay, so the Davy Reedon of the game is a fictionalized version of the Davy Reedon who made Stanley Parable. Actually, do we know the beginner's guide cast list? Let's see. Full cast and crew. I'm looking on IMDb. Okay, Davy Reedon, the actual creator, does the voice for Davy Reedon, according to IMDb. So he didn't hire a different voice actor to do the voiceover. That is him talking. If you're comparing anything to Stanley Parable, you're going to be disappointed. I don't know. I think in many ways, the beginner's guide is a much deeper examination of the creative process than Stanley Parable. Stanley Parable has a kind of you get a certain level of understanding, and you go, oh, we're riffing on game development and tropes in games, whereas beginner's guide kind of talks about what it means to be a creator, what kind of toll it takes to create things, and just how and what is the responsibility and relationship between the creator and the audience, right? So the very first thing, so Coda is fictional, just as this Davy Reedon is fictional. There's a long tradition of authors putting themselves as characters in their own work, going back forever. I think there are Greek plays where, like Aristophanes comedies, where Aristophanes makes an appearance and they make fun of him for being a terrible hack writer. So we go back to them. It feels like this trap. If you analyze it and draw conclusions about its meaning or its creator, the beginner's guide thinks you're just like Davy. Yes. You're if you say Davy Reedon wanted you to learn this, Davy Reedon is the character is actually doing that about this fictional coda. But there's think about this. There's a narrative arc to Beginner's Guide that isn't in Stanley Parable because Beginner's Guide is linear. You start at the beginning, you end at the end. You go on a journey with Davy Reedon, going in many ways. Reedon, the character, is a tragic hero. He has a moment of revelation and reversal where we find out that he's actually the cause of Coda's um, uh, isolation. Or maybe Coda isn't depressed. Maybe Coda isn't isolated. Maybe Coda doesn't feel anything that Reedon attributes to him. And that's all projection on Reedon's part. The other interesting thing on a meta level, once again going one level up, is the journey itself is put out by this fictional Reedon after he has had his revelation, right? Because it's not published serially. You don't have to download each episode, each game on his journey. It's published as one thing. So the Davy Reedon who published it has gone on this journey and gotten to the end and had his revelation and still decided to publish it. Right? So, okay, Lena, let's see. I mean, I disagree. I don't think you're an awful person for analyzing games. People give up the meaning of their art when they release it. Game Davy's mistake was editing the art and releasing it against Coda's wishes. Sure, yes. I think you are correct. There's what we call the authorial fallacy, right? And that this is literature criticism or lit crit, kind of college level lit crit, where originally the author says it means this, right? And that's what it means. But that is false, because if I experience your work and it moves me in a way that you never intended, is my reaction false because the author didn't intend for anyone to have that reaction? No, of course not. My reaction, my reading of it, is just as legitimate as anyone else's, right? So the authorial intention is just one possible reading of any piece of literature, piece of creative work, right? It's the old, is it a duck or is it a bunny, right? Well, sometimes I see duck, sometimes I see bunny. Did the artist intend a duck? Guess what? Some people still see bunnies, right? Um, and that I hope you understand what I'm talking about with the duck bunny picture. It's a famous, I don't know, here, duck bunny illusion. Here we go. There we go. Share. I guess it's originally German. Is it a duck or is it a bunny? Right? It's both. Okay. Enough of that. Yeah, the optical illusion. Is the dress blue or gold? It's a pigeon. Yeah. So, Sook. My dog's barking. So, okay. So, does that mean that the author has more rights? Well, certainly. The author owns the work, but once they put it out, they can't control what feelings it evokes in you. It's when you change the work that you're interfering, and so Reedon's, I don't know if it's mistake, Reedon's interference is the actual voiceover and the lamp posts, right? And lamp posting. Let me just let's see. Lamp posting. Is there no lamplighter lamp posting? No, don't look it up on Urban Dictionary. That's not a good thing. Okay, so oh dear, yes, don't look it up there. That's not what I'm talking about. But lamp posting in level design is basically pointing out the way for the player to go, right? So when I shine, I mean, it's very clear in the game. If I shine a light on a path, um, as a level designer, that's one of my basic tricks to make the player go where the light is, right? Lamp shading is different. Lamp shading is when you point out that you're doing something in order to diffuse the fact that you did it, but you still did it, right? So part of it is, I mean, lamp shading is I'm not racist, but right, and then you of course say something terribly racist, right? So, but you've now said, I understand this is racist. I don't mean it in a racist way, but I'm still going to say this horribly racist thing, right? And maybe that's escalating things, but a lot of times it's when you're lampshading a joke, right? And you say, this is a terrible joke. You say it anyway. And then you say, isn't that a terrible, uh, terrible joke? We're talking about lamp posting versus lamp shading. So lamp posting is really defining a way you want a player to go. And that's essentially what Reedon does throughout Beginner's Guide with his commentary on each game, right? He doesn't allow you to form your own conclusions. He says, this is what it means, right? So when we get to the end and there's an actual message from the author saying, you don't understand anything about me, you've changed everything. I never put any of these lampposts in. It's a shock, and it's a reversal for Davy, right? So here's the thing, where Stanley is a meta commentary about games and game tropes. Beginner's Guide is a character piece, right? And in many ways, it's much deeper because, I mean, we learn more about the narrator in Stanley than we do about Stanley. Stanley is a cipher, an everyman. He's an empty shell that we control, right? Even so, the narrator is just about whether or not you listen to him, and whether or not you follow instructions. Davy is a full person. Davy has a relationship with Coda, and both loves and maybe is jealous of Coda, maybe wants to be like him. There's also a bit of commentary in there about the effects of fame on someone who's not used to it, and that's kind of what Reedon was dealing with after Stanley Parable. He got famous, and then the question is, well, okay, I'm famous now. What does that mean, right? What do I owe anybody? What am I going to do next, right? And let me just see. When did the beginner's guide? Oh, let's turn that off. Beginner's guide came out in 2015, right? So we've got Stanley in 2013. 2 years later, Beginner's Guide comes out. And what is Davy Reedon doing now? Because honestly, I have not heard anything from him since 2015, and he has not published anything since 2015, since the Beginner's Guide. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe came out in 2020. The heck is that? Stanley Parable. Well, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. What is it? Coming in 2019, coming in 2020. It looks like Stanley Parable for consoles. Time to Fix It for the Liar. Let's see. Oh, it's just more. Seems to be coming to PC in 2020. Is it an expansion, a remake? Ultra Deluxe will contain the entire Stanley Parable exactly as you originally played it. However, we're adding a whole bunch of new content on top of it, interwoven with the content from the original game. Some of it is entirely new endings. Some of it is content interspersed between the endings. All in all, the new script is shaping up to be roughly half the length of the script from the original game. Wow. Okay. So he's releasing another version of Stanley Parable. From Lena again. I want to think it could also have to do with Davy Reedon's own doubts and insecurities after releasing Stanley, but at the same time, Beginner's Guide would say that trying to use a small output of someone's work to understand them is immoral. Maybe, I'm not sure immoral, but certainly mistaken. We are more than what we create. What we create are essentially small snapshots of our mindset from one short period of time. And certainly I get better discussion. I wish you guys were all in a room with me where we could like talk and argue with this. I feel like I'm dominating it. And thank you, Lena, for typing all these things in the chat and giving me some feedback. Because I think we'd get a really good discussion going about this. and it's just hard over Zoom. I think or beginner's guide is, that was from Aaron. Okay. Well, Aaron and Lena are both writing astute things. So I'm out of time. I want to keep talking about this, but I have to move on. So I will play on Twitch this weekend. Tune in while I'm playing and talk to me while I'm playing and tell me. I'll try and narrate if I'm like I wasn't saying much during the beginning of the playthrough because I felt so sick. So I'll try and talk about it more while I'm playing it. And maybe we can continue this then. Otherwise, have a good 3-day weekend. Write your D&D, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Thank you all.